Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to do another trope video. We have the world famous trope, like the most famous and popular trope for a reason, enemies to lovers. And it's also one of my favorite tropes because enemies becoming lovers, it's going to be a holy grail. So I've put together some of my recommendations, and mostly these books are not talked often. Like you wouldn't have heard of these names, some of these names, and some are popular, some are not so popular. So the first book we have here is The Rivals by Vicky Lynch. I hope I'm saying the name correct. So this story is, as long as I remember, both the families are enemies. Like his family and her family are enemies, don't get together very well, and somehow they both end up on this hotel to work together. So this is kind of a workplace enemies to lovers romance, and let me tell you the synopsis so you will get more of that gist of this. So the feud between Weston Lockwood and me started at the altar. Only neither of us attended the wedding, and the nuptials happened decades before either of us was born. Our grandfathers have been best friends and business partners, at least up until my grandfather's wedding day, when his pride to be blurted out she couldn't marry him because she was also in love with the Weston's grandfather. The two men spent years fighting over Grace Copeland, who also happened to be their third business partner. But in the end, neither man could steal half of her heart away from the other. Eventually, they all went their separate ways. Our grandfathers married other women, and the two men became one of the biggest business rivals in history. Our fathers continued the family tradition of feuding, and then Weston and I did too. For the most part, we kept as much distance as possible until the day the woman who started the feud died and unexpectedly left one of the most valuable hotels in the world to our grandfathers to share. Now I'm stuck in a hotel where the man I was born to hate trying to unravel the mass of families inherited. As usual, it didn't take long for us to be each other's throats. Weston Lockwood was everything I hated: tall, smart, cocky, and too gorgeous for his own good. We were fire and ice, but that shouldn't be an issue. Our families were used to being at war. There was just one minor problem though. Every time Weston and I fought, we somehow wound up in bed. Like, it was so different from any of the books I've read. Like, their grandmother, like not their grandmother, actually the third business partner, the grandmother in the picture, loved both the men. What? Like, she loved him too and she loved him too. Like, her grandfather and his grandfather. But she can't marry both of them, so she didn't marry any of them. And from the different generations to this generations, they carry on this animosity and things like that. And it was really good to read, as I remember. So definitely give this a try. Okay, so the second book we have in the recommendations is The Assignment by Penelope Ward. Reasons why I should not be drawn to Troy Cyrano. Number 1, he's obnoxious. Number 2, he and I were enemies over a decade ago in high school. Number 3, he is my friend's ex-boyfriend. I could go on and on really. When my boss gives me an unwanted assignment and tells me it involves spending time with the grandson of one of our residents, the grandson turns out to be Troy. He is now as successful, he is undeniably handsome. Lucky me. 4 hours a week of having to deal with his insufferable personality and unsolicited advice. The only consolation is getting to stare at his annoyingly gorgeous face in between our many arguments. And eventually, though, we slowly warm to each other and our outings become something I actually look forward to. What's happening to me? Apparently, I misunderstood the assignment because it certainly didn't include thinking about Troy when I close my eyes at night, imagining what it would be like with him, just once. All the while hating myself for fantasizing about a guy who is all wrong with me. A guy whose car I keyed back in the day, long story, but he deserved it. That's all this is, a fantasy. Well, until that one night at the park. The night Troy and I run into each other and all our pent-up frustrations come spiraling out. Still, I refuse to accept that it means anything. There is no way the guy I'm supposed to hate is also the one I can't live without. So, as I remember, Troy used to be the boyfriend of our FMC's best friend, and he and she broke up. So as a girl code, she also started hating Troy, the FMC here, I don't remember the name, but she also started hating him, and they become enemies. And the best friend who is in between them is actually okay with him now. Like, she has no problem as long as I remember, but they both somehow are still enemies. So it was quite fun to read that. And the third book we have here is Falling for My Enemy by Claire Kingsley. What happens when frenemies take the experiment out of the lab and into the bedroom? Corbin Nash is a self-proclaimed data nerd with a sexy half smile and a set of abs that leaves girls drooling. He developed a theory that he claims will make two people fall in love. And after numerous tests on friends and families, it's been successful for everyone who has tried it. The problem is it never worked on him, and he doesn't know why. Still, he is determined to prove his theory. The only thing standing in his way, his nemesis, Hazel Keegan. Hazel refuses to be distracted by Corbin's adorable awkwardness or his tempting muscular body. He claims to have cracked the code to falling in love, and she is going to prove him wrong. From the moment these two rivals meet, their chemistry is irresistible, and what's wrong with a little sex between enemies? But when they put Corbin's theory to the test for themselves, the results are deliciously unexpected. This is book 2 in the series 30 Martini Running Club. I have actually read 2 to 3 books in the series, and this is also kind of a workplace romance. They both work in this lab or somewhere, and he claims that he has found this thing to make two people fall in love. It's kind of reminds me of the soulmate equation. He found the dating app, something like that, and he found this formula or something like that. So their banter was good, and it's kind of a forced proximity, working in the same place, and a lot of stream for enemies to lovers. The next book we have here for enemies to lovers is Kiss My Cupcake by Helena Hunte. Cover is so cute, and also enemies to lovers. The perfect mix or a recipe for disaster. Blair Calloway has planned every Instagram-worthy moment of her cupcake and cocktail shop launch down to the tiniest details. What she didn't plan on: Ronan Knight and his old school sports bar next door opening on the very same day. He may be super swoony, but Blair hasn't spent years obsessing over buttercream and bourbon to have him ruin her chance at success. From eggs throwing his place to frosting contests hers, Blair and Ronan are constantly trying to one-up each other in a battle to win new customers. But with every clash, there is also an undeniable chemistry. When an even bigger threat to their business comes to town, they are forced to call a temporary timeout on their own war and work together. And the more time Blair spends getting to know the real Ronan, the more she wonders if it's possible to have her cupcake and eat it too. So it's kind of enemies and competitors romance. Like, they both have their shops side by side to each other and opening on the same day and trying to one up each other for this business and customers. So it's also kind of forced proximity, enemies to lovers, really good. If you want something adorable, cute, quick romance type of books along with enemies and sizzling chemistries, you should definitely try this out. And the next book we have in this recommendation is Loving Romeo by Laura Pavlov. This is also enemies to lovers, but it's kind of one-sided enemies to lovers. So we have Romeo here, who is also a boxer and who fights these boxing contests and also owns a gym. He's a gym owner, I guess. And we have Demi here, who comes in this small town to open her own bakery shop. But Romeo hates Demi's family because something happened between them. You will know that when you read the book, because I don't want to spoil anything. But Demi doesn't have any idea why he hates her so much. Demi's family also lives in this small town, and Romeo and his family and his friends also live in this small town. Demi is kind of from a rich family and Romeo is not. Demi Crawford was Magnolia Falls royalty. I was the boxer from the wrong side of the tracks. She was the epitome of everything good while I was broody rebellious. We couldn't be more different. Her family was enemy number one, which made her guilty by association. I despised her before I even knew her. It was easier that way, but now she had moved in next door to me and she was everywhere I turned. I couldn't avoid her no matter how hard I tried. She was beautiful and honest and sweet. Everything I knew I shouldn't need. They say there is a fine line between love and hate, and I don't know when I crossed over. I was so wrapped up in this girl I couldn't see straight. She was the right hook I never saw coming. But the secrets that lived between us threatened to tear us apart. Lucky for her, I was a born fighter and she was definitely worth the fight. So this is also 5 to 6 books in this series, all the friends group and stuff like that. And I really love the series too. I have read almost all the books here. The one book is unreleased right now, or maybe it is released, I don't know. So it was really good series, and maybe I'll talk more about this one in the upcoming future. Book number 1 in Magnolia Falls series by Laura Pavlov, and it was really good. I absolutely love the fan groups and these enemies to lovers, and somehow they end up falling for each other. I will try to make a part 2 of this video. I have many more books to recommend for enemies to lovers. We will keep this video short and sweet, and I hope you enjoy today's video. If you have read any of the books I have recommended today, please tell me in the comment sections below. And if you have any book recommendations for enemies to lovers, do tell that too. All my socials are in the description box below as usual, as always. And I will really be glad if you join me on Insta and WhatsApp too. And I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye.